Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2007, it's a Toyota Camry, and we're going to be changing the front and rear brakes and rotors and the hardware kit. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and then we're going to start. Okay, so this is an example of what kind of tools you're going to need to do the back brakes now on this. Again, we're going to need a file or a screwdriver, something to clean up the rust that's on the hub itself, where the hub fits into the rotor itself. We're going to need a ratchet with a 14 millimeter, and we're going to need probably a 12 millimeter, but that's for that bolt to remove the rotor. A screwdriver, a tool like this to push the piston back in, something to hang the caliper on, a small pry bar, our synthetic grease, of course our brake cleaner, a new rotor, and new brake pads. First thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up that rotor there before we do anything. So we're going to just spray it, just like that, and you just wipe it off just to get the grease that's on it from when they ship it. And then we'll do the exact same thing on the other side once we lift it up to put it back on the vehicle. Of course, we need our OTC spectrum lights so we can see what we're doing. And this is what we're going to do over here. We're going to come in here with the pry bar. We're going to put it in through here, and we're going to pry that piston back into the bore. Then we're going to check to make sure that these slide pins slide correctly and they're not binding up. We'll take the caliper off by removing that 14 millimeter bolt there, and we're going to relocate the caliper off to the side. And at that point, we're going to come down in here, and we're going to take out that 14 millimeter bolt right there. And there's also another one down on the bottom over here, and we're going to remove the mounting bracket from the car. And then we'll come over here and we'll screw that bolt in through that little threaded hole right there, and that will pop off the rotor from the vehicle. And again, you'll see that oily area there because I sprayed it up with some penetrating oil. Then we're going to take this little piece right here, we're going to take this off, and we need to put that back onto the new rotor. So, all right, let's get set up and let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do is going to pry that piston back into the bore right there. We take a pry bar or a screwdriver and just put it in like this, and you just keep pressure on it. And you see how easily that one pushes right back in? So we just want to make sure that that piston is pushed all the way back in as far as it can go. By pushing that piston back in, you actually eliminate a step where you needed to use this tool before. Now we won't need to use this tool because that piston is pushed all the way back in as far as it can go. Now we're going to check these slide pins right here to make sure that this caliper slides back and forth. And as you can see, it does slide back and forth. We are going to lubricate those pins, but they're not rusted to the point where they need to be changed. So let's take this caliper off of the car. Now, I know I told you this a million times, but you don't want to lose these bolts because you are going to need to reuse these again. Okay, we're just going to leave our caliper right there for now. And now we're going to take out the bolt in the back here. And there's also another bolt down on the bottom right there. Those again are 14 millimeter. You want to break both. You want to break both bolts loose before you take one out. Otherwise you'll try to break that bottom bolt loose, and instead of turning out, the caliper is going to pull down. So you want to break the bolt loose before you take either one out. Okay, then we'll take our mounting bracket out. Now we're going to come back to this later on because we are going to have to clean up here, the hardware. We're going to replace it, And we also got to lubricate these pins here, but we'll come back to that in just a minute. All right, next thing we need to do now is take that rotor off. Now you remember, we take that bolt that we had, put it in here, like that, and just snug this down. You hold the rotor so it doesn't turn, and you feel the pop loose. Now if it doesn't come off very easily, don't force it, because you could be pulling off the parking brake shoes along with the rotor. And we'll take our screw back out. We're going to put that back in our toolbox for another day. And we'll take our rotor and just work it back and forth. And you could feel it catching a little bit on this rust lip right inside there, but don't force it. If it jams up on there, then you'll need to take that little piece out right there, and you'll need to get in through the bottom. I'll bring you in there, I'll show you. You would get in here with a screwdriver and you would back off on the adjustment on the bottom right there. So let me put this down and I'll show you how to do that. Now this one just came right out, you know that, but if it didn't, we would have did that. That little piece in the back right there, we're going to push this out because we need to use this on the new rotor. Watch it, don't stab yourself. And we keep that and throw away this. If you tried to take that rotor off and it don't come off, I don't know if you can see this, but you see right here, you see that little star wheel right there? What you would do is you would get in here with the screwdriver like that, and you would turn off that adjustment on there to loosen it up, and then that you would get your rotor off. But that's not the case here. We don't have to worry about that. It came right off. We are going to clean this up a little bit. Actually, no, we're not, because it actually feels really good. Okay. So we're going to take our new rotor, and before we put it back on the car, now it seems like a dopey thing, I know that, but I've had it happen before to my guys. Put this in here just like that, and push it in with your screwdriver. Push it in just like that. Okay? Because I've had my guys already put the whole brake job together, and then push that piece in right there, and they push it too far, it pops inside, and then you got to take the drum or the rotor back off the car. All right? Now, before we put it back onto the car, we're going to spray it. And we're going to clean off any of that grease that's on there. And now what I always do, is line up that threaded hole right there where it was on here before. So we have it there, and this goes on here because you need to have this piece lined up right there. Okay? Now at this point, if you needed to adjust the parking brake tighter, you can hear this one doesn't need to, but if you had to adjust it, you would get in here with your screwdriver and you would turn it and you would adjust that star wheel that we previously loosened up. That's not the case here. This is fine the way it is, so we're not going to do anything with that. But now we are going to go over to the bench over here, and we're going to replace these hardware pieces right here. So let's get over there and we'll continue. Now we can take our brake pads out. And this one as well. These come out. We need a screwdriver. You just get in here with a screwdriver like that, pry behind it, and you can pull it off like that. Okay? Now, I just want to point this out to you as well. You see in here, this is all rusty inside there. I'm going to take this over to the bench and we're going to clean it up. And now, if you don't have a grinder, you can get in here with a file like this and just clean it up just like this. comes out nice and clean, you want to just get that rust off. You know what, let's just do it right here, instead of going on the bench. So we'll clean it up the same way. Okay, and we're going to clean up right inside here where the new hardware goes. Clean that rust off. Okay. Now, wherever this new mounting bracket is going to go, we're going to put a little bit of the grease, just like this. Hope you can see that okay. Okay, just a little bit of grease where it's going to, the new hardware kit is going to go, just like that. Include it in here. And I just want to show you this. This kit comes with two different size pieces here. This kit has two different sizes. So what you want to do is you want to match them up to make sure. Now you can see that these, I don't know if you can see that, but you see that little piece right there? You want to make sure that it's the exact same size. Now this one is a different size. You see how that moves back and forth? That's no good. This one is too big and it won't fit on there properly, but this one is the one that belongs on there. You can see it lines up exactly as the other one, so these are the ones we need. So make sure you put the correct hardware on there, and then you take it, you put it over the top like this, push it down, just like that. And you want to push this piece here. I don't know if you can see this. I'll get a light here so you can see a little better. You see down inside here? You want to make sure that that clip right there is pushed in where it's supposed to be. Otherwise it's going to touch the rotor. So you want to push it in there with your screwdriver like this. Okay? So now it's in all the way where it's supposed to be. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on this one. Make sure you have your correct clip. And then we'll put it on here like this. Put it in there. And push this down. And that's it. Our clip is in the way it's supposed to be. Next thing we're going to do now is we're going to get a rag. We have brake cleaner on this rag. We're going to take out this slide pin and this slide pin. You're going to do one at a time because sometimes there's a rubber on the end of it and sometimes there's not. So you want to make sure you put the slide pin back in the same location that it came out of. You put a little bit of silicone on here like this. Put it in here. Just rotate it and push it in and make sure that that rubber boot pops back up into that little place, that little piece right there, which it did. All right, clean this off. A little silicone on here like that. And I will put this back in like that and just turn it and push it in and make sure that that little boot pops back up like that. All right, now. Again, any place that the brake pad is going to touch, you put a little bit of silicone like that on everything that the brake pad is going to touch. Okay? Now, most of the time, I put the brake pads in on the bench here, but this one I'm not gonna. I'm going to put the inner one in because it's a little difficult to get to, but the outer I'm going to leave it out. So we're going to take this and we're going to push this pad in up against this piece right here and push it so that it snaps in. So let's do that. See? Just like that. Okay? And now, if I put the other pad in, this one is going to fall out. So we're going to do this one once we're on the car again. All right, so let's get back over to the car and let's put this back together then. All right, now we're going to take our bracket, put it back over the top like this, push that brake pad in so it doesn't fall out. And now we're going to catch both of those bolts that we previously took out. You want to catch them both before you tighten one up. You want to make sure they're both caught. All right, now we're just going to snug up those bolts. All right, then we'll put the other brake pad in. You see how I put it back in there and I push this piece back a little bit, both sides? We'll just push it back, push it in, and that's it. We're all set. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our caliper and we're going to lubricate every place that that brake pad touches. Just lubricate it just a little bit, like that, and like that. And we'll put it over the top, just like this. Now by us pushing that piston back in, we just eliminated a step where we had last time we had to use this. This time we do not have to use it. Remember on the front how we did it? By pushing that piston back in, we just saved that step. And now we'll push our slide pins in so that the caliper fits over. We're going to catch both of the bolts first before we tighten anything up. All right, just tighten these up. Just like that. Okay. All right, that's it. We're done. All right, so we're going to talk about what we did. We made sure that this part where the rotor fits onto was nice and clean, which before you saw was nice and clean. If we had to adjust the parking brake, then we would have adjusted it right now before we put this back together. We made sure our little rubber plug is in there. We put our mounting bracket back on. We cleaned up all that rust, put the new hardware on, and lubricated every place that the brake pad is going to touch. We tightened up the 14mm bolts to hold the mounting bracket on. We lubricated every place on here that's going to touch into the brake pad itself. And then we tightened up both 14mm bolts here. That's it. We're all done. Okay, that's it. We're all set. All right, brakes are all done front and rear. Now the only thing you're going to do, obviously, you put the wheels on, you're going to take a road test. But before you drive it, get in there, pump that brake pedal up, because it's going to go to the floor for at least 4 or 5 pumps. Once you pump it up, the pistons will come back out, and it'll come in contact with the brake pad, and then you'll be able to take it for a test drive, and you should be fine. It is normal that you're going to get a little bit of smoking, a little bit of burning smell, absolutely normal. Because even though we cleaned off the rotor with the brake cleaner, you still have a little bit of brake, the grease from the when it was stored in the warehouse inside the ribs or inside the back area of the rotor. So it is normal to see a little bit of smoke, a little bit of maybe a burning, oily type smell, but it'll burn right off within a short period of time. All right, so that's it. You're all done. All right, so on to the next one, and you know, we'll see how it goes with the next job, and we'll film it. All right, as always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.